अब आप लाइव हो चुके हो, रियल टाइम है। Okay. अब this is real time and okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this another live session of Compass, where I will be today teaching you the writing section from RMC. All right. So I would like you to be ready with the notebook, and we are going to be learning the types of essays that come in RMC exam. So you need to be very careful, very attentive when I'll be teaching you, and we are going to be discussing each and every essay topic in detail, right? Okay, so you can take some time, grab your notebook, your pen, your pencil, whatever that you have, and we'll start the session now. Okay, I see some students have come online. Some of you have not yet joined, so this is an opportunity for you all to join. So let's just take some time. Okay, as it is stated, this is for RMC, right? So I am today going to be giving you session on RMC writing section from English. Okay, so let's begin. I'll be checking your comments as well if you want to communicate with me, if you want to ask anything, any kind of question that you have in your mind. Do not hesitate. Make sure that you ask. So guys, let's begin. I hope you people are ready by now. Okay. So RMC exam English section, it consists of three parts: the writing section, the reading section, followed by a comprehension passage, and then we have grammar section. Okay, functional grammar. Now, one thing that I've noticed among children, among students, that they take more interest in solving grammar portion, where we get to find active and passive voice, direct and indirect speech, question tag, and so on. But I see less students, very few students participating, or let's say solving the writing section with interest. They would do it for the sake of completing it, but I see very few students taking interest in solving the writing part. Reasons can be different person to person, but let me tell you that writing section is very, very important, and it is also scoring, right? As compared to grammar section, you need to have a precise answer, an exact answer for that. There are options given. So out of the 4 options, 1 is correct. So then there are less chances of having the score if there is just one option correct. But when it comes to writing part, I tell you that you can score very good marks if you just pay attention to some very minute details. So we'll talk about that in detail. But first of all, I would like you to understand that writing section is very, very important, and scoring as well. If you just get to understand all the points clearly and nicely, and you understand the idea of writing an essay, you can score very good marks in writing section as well. Okay, so let's dive into the topic. So we have uh, 5 topics to cover today. Okay, all right, so these are the types of essays. All right, so the first one is descriptive, the second one is narrative, third is argumentative, fourth story writing, and then we have picture composition. All right, now first of all, I would like to give you an insight about descriptive writing. Now, the word comes from the word describe. Okay, when we say descriptive, it comes from the word describe. What do you have to do? Simply describe. But what makes it different from other essays? You get to engage your 5 senses in it. Okay, which we are going to talk about in detail in the next few minutes. Second is narrative essay. What is narrative? Narrative comes from the word narration. Now, you must have read your stories in your English literature book as well in school. Now, you would find some stories are being narrated. The author is someone else, but the story is narrated by a character in the story. Right? We'll talk about that in detail. Argumentative. What is that? You get to prove your point correct. Either you are going to speak for the motion or you are going to speak against the motion. What is for the motion? When you are speaking everything in favor of the topic that has been given. What is against the motion? When you are speaking against the topic, the idea which is being presented to you. All right? Story writing. Okay, what's story writing? The story writing will have a plot. Okay, which means a perfect story. And the stories can be of different kinds. It can be a horror story, it can be a thriller, it can be suspense, it can be a cliffhanger as well. I'll talk about cliffhanger as well in the next few minutes. And it does have characters as well. The story writing will have characters, and since if we are going to have characters, definitely we are going to have dialogues as well. So am I saying, can we use dialogues in story writing? Yes, you can. Okay. Picture composition. What's picture composition? A picture shall be given to you and you have to study the picture which has been given. All right. Now, what do I mean by studying the picture? You don't have to describe the picture. Suppose if there are birds in the picture, and if then there is a fisherman who is fishing in the lake, you don't have to describe the picture that I see birds flying in the sky, I see a fisherman fishing in the lake. No. You have to have a better idea of the picture. What is it talking about? What is the message that is being conveyed by this picture? For example, let me give you an example. Suppose you get to see the picture of Mahatma Gandhi ji, right? So what are you going to describe? I see a man, he's wearing a dhoti or he's wearing spectacles. No, this is not what you are going to describe. What are we going to describe? Okay, what are you going to write down? The moment we are going to see Mahatma Gandhi, we are going to talk about his contributions that he has done for the country. Isn't it? The movements that he had started. We can talk about his life. We are not going to describe the picture. The person in the picture we are not going to describe. So we are going to talk about the person, Mahatma Gandhi, who has contributed so much to our country. Isn't it? So need to differentiate that. Okay, so let's not just talk about everything right now. Let's go forward. Okay, so there is a note which is written over here. Let's read it together. These notes are written in simple language but with high quality content suitable for scoring full marks. Tip number one, your language has to be simple. Don't use high sounding booming words, difficult words. Don't use. All right, it's good to increase your vocabulary, but keep it simple. But on the other hand, we need to have high quality content. High quality. Okay, it should not be shallow content. It has to have some good content in it. All right, simple language and high quality content. Now, how can you develop high quality content? When you get into reading, when you read something, okay, if you are in the habit of reading books, you're in the habit of reading newspapers, if you are habit in reading let's say novels, good storybooks are there, then you can literally borrow some data, some content from there and use it in your essays. Okay, so let's proceed. Okay, so we are talking about descriptive writing first, as I told you, right? Now let's read. Descriptive writing helps the reader, first thing, see, second thing, hear, feel, and experience what you are describing. You get to engage your five senses. Okay? Okay. Five senses. Your five senses need to engage. Okay? Not necessarily every time. Now that's not hard and fast rule, but you got to engage if you can engage your five senses. Okay? So, see. We start with the first sense, that is sight. See, hear, feel, experience, and one more, taste. All right, these are the five senses. So when it comes to descriptive writing, suppose you get a question and you need to describe something. Suppose, let's say a bright sunny morning, okay, and you have come out to take a walk. So you can engage your senses. You can talk about what do you see, what you hear in the morning, what you feel, the cool breeze on your skin, right? And what do you get to smell or taste, if it is possible, right? So you need to engage your five senses. Okay, and in simple words, you have to paint a picture with your words. What is descriptive writing? Got to paint a picture with words. Now we all have painted with colors. There is something else. You got to paint a picture, and that too with words. Okay, so that when your examiner, your reader gets to read your content, okay, he or she may get to feel the same thing that you have jotted down on your piece of paper, that he may or she may experience the same thing. You need to keep that in mind. Okay, so when you are engaging your five senses, you're also making the reader feel the same. That is called descriptive writing, and effective descriptive writing. Okay, okay, so let's proceed. Okay, what makes descriptive writing special? Wow, it uses imagery. Okay, mental pictures. Okay, you got to use pictures, imagination. You got to use the faculty of imagination that you have. Okay, and it has no limit. You can go beyond any kind of limits. Okay, but no negative approach. Don't make it negative. So it has to have your imagery. Let's say the mental pictures. Okay, it appeals to five senses which I was talking about. Sight, bright sunlight, green fields. That's what you need to describe in your descriptive essay. What you see. Okay, so you got to see through your imagination. Okay, suppose you get a topic where you have to describe about your about hills. Okay, and suppose you have never been to hills. So now what do you have to do? You got to use the faculty of imagination. And when you will use it, so the first thing that you have engaged, sight, you are visualizing in your mind bright sunlight, green fields. Okay, second, sound, chirping birds, roaring waves. Now that talks about a beach. Fine, beach. Okay, smell, freshly baked bread. As you were strolling down and you went into a town, so what do you get to smell? Freshly baked bread, scented flowers. Maybe you were in a garden. Okay, that's what I was talking about. Taste, sweet mangoes. On the way you got this chance to pluck some mangoes from the tree. So sweet mangoes, spicy snacks. Okay, touch, what is this? Cool breeze, rough stone wall. What do you get to use? All these five senses, right? It highlights what makes the subject unique. Okay, so this is the backbone of descriptive writing. Backbone. Okay, now as I'm explaining you descriptive, I would like to explain you one more thing, that is reflective essay. Okay, reflective essay. Okay, so that was not on the list, but it has come to my mind. I would like to tell you. Okay, reflective essay. Now what are reflective essays? A thoughtful essay. Suppose a topic has been given to you, honesty is the best policy. Now what is that? Now you will have to talk about this, one of the virtues, one of the qualities that a person should have, honesty. Okay, it helps you to reflect back on your character, and then you talk about these characteristics, traits of a person: honesty, respect, integrity, right, and so on, bravery. Right? What are these? These are thoughtful essays. What do they give you? They give you thoughts. Thoughtful essays. Okay? Okay? So right in the beginning, there were five. I have included one more. Reflective essay. What is it? A thoughtful essay. What do I mean by thoughtful essays? Which means something that talks about a person's character, bravery, respect, integrity, honesty, and so on. Okay, so there can be topics from the category of reflective essays. All right, let's move forward. Let me check the comments as well. Maybe you people have any questions. Let's see. Okay, so far I didn't get to see anything, but if you have any question, yes, you may ask. All right. Okay, structure you must follow. Okay, yes, there is a structure. When it comes to essay writing, you cannot just take your pen and start writing that whatever comes in your mind. No, there is a structure to follow. It is like a map. If you follow the map, you will reach your destination. If you don't have a map, then you will be lost. Okay, it will look like an essay, but when it comes to reading part, we'll go through the essay, then it will be a disaster. So if you don't want a disaster, you got to follow a roadmap. Okay, so what is the structure? Introduction, very important. A descriptive essay should have an introduction, a general view. Okay, a very short paragraph. But how does it have to be? It has to be really, really interesting. Right in the beginning, if you have written it very plainly, with no interest, half-heartedly, you yourself is not willing to write down, what do you think your the examiner, or let's say the teacher, or let's say the one who's going to be reading, will he be interested? You got to make it very, very interesting. Okay, so general view. Okay, it's like the first impression is the last impression. What kind of impression are you making in the first paragraph, which is the introduction? Are you leaving a good impression, or just for the sake of writing an essay, 20 minutes are left, so let me just write it down? No, not that way. You will have to build interest in writing. Okay, so let's see. Introduce the place, person, event. Mention your overall impression. Example, the school library is my favorite place because it is peaceful and full of knowledge. Right? So I would like to give you some more tips. Okay, what you can begin with. You can begin with, let's say, a proverb. A proverb. If you can just begin your essay with a proverb, something that suits, something that is relevant to your topic, not irrelevant, relevant to your topic. You can begin with an idiom as well. Okay, you can begin with your idiom as well. Okay, what else? You can begin with a question as well. Okay, not just any question, but a rhetorical question. Let me write down. Rhetorical question. So what's a rhetorical question? A question that cannot be answered. They come with a message. A rhetorical question comes with a message. You cannot answer a rhetorical question. Okay, for example, let me give you an example. Suppose you asked money and you approached your father. Okay, you said, Dad, I want $1,000. And then your dad asked you a rhetorical question. What did he ask? Does money grow on trees? That's what he asked. I'll repeat it. Your father asked you a rhetorical question. Does money grow on trees? And then you did not have any answer to that question, but you understood the message. That means father simply means that he would not give you any money right now. Okay, so yes, you can also begin with a rhetorical question relevant to your topic. Okay, so here it is talking about, this is how we can begin, but I'm giving you 3 more tips. You can start with a proverb, you can start with an idiom, or you can start with a rhetorical question. Okay, but not with half knowledge. Suppose you know half the proverb, you remember only the half part of it. If you are unsure, don't approach. Okay, anything that you are good at and it is relevant to the topic, begin with that. Okay, my personal choice, if you ask me, I would always go with a rhetorical question, right? Because they are easy to frame. Okay, and they come with a message that cannot be answered. Okay, so let's begin. Structure you must follow. Okay, so we started with introduction. How many lines? Somewhere around 3 to 4 lines. A general view of the topic. It doesn't have to be very lengthy, but just a brief introduction of the topic, and you don't have to elaborate it. It has to be really impressive. Okay, then when you are done with the first paragraph of 3 to 4 lines, then you quickly jump into the second part, that is body. It says detailed description. All the things that you want to write it down, you want to describe, will come in the body. Okay, now one thing that I would like to tell you, how do you begin a paragraph? So after the first paragraph, you got to leave a line, and from the margin, don't give 2 finger space or 3 finger space. 2 finger space not required, 3 finger space not required, right from the margin. Okay, so start from the margin, the second paragraph, and the body will have at least 2 to 3 paragraphs, right? Okay, cover 2 to 3 paragraphs. What all would you write down? Everything that you have, prepared, you want to enlist down, write down everything beautifully, okay, in sequence. Okay, don't just, for the sake of completing, don't just bombard the 2 or 3 paragraphs with with all the information that you have. Put it in sequence. Okay, then features, surrounding, atmosphere, activities, special qualities, all these things, these are just the examples. Okay, suppose you are describing something, so the features, the surroundings, atmosphere, activities, special qualities, all these things can be written down, okay, in the body of the essay. It covers 2 to 3 paragraphs. All right, now do you have any questions which I can answer? Yes, you may surely ask me. Okay, now yes, some children are asking me, can we write down the quotations? Definitely yes. And with the phrase, yes, you can. Phrase, quotations, rhetorical questions, proverbs, idioms, yes, you can come up with that, no problem. Okay, so the last but not the least. Okay, now see, this is the third point. Now I want you to think of a human body. Okay, so the head, okay, and then the abdominal area, and then the legs. Okay, so introduction is like head, and body is like the abdominal area, and the legs are like conclusion. This is what an essay should look like. If you are missing on conclusion, that means your human body is incomplete. It does have a head, it does have the abdominal area, but no legs. Handicapped. Okay, are you here with me? Yes. So understand, so conclusion acts like legs of the essay, then it becomes a human body. Okay, conclusion, a short personal comment or feeling. Okay, so this is how you are going to end your essay. You are not going to end abruptly. Let me write it down. End abruptly. No. Abruptly means suddenly. For example, you are watching a movie and the last scene, without the last scene of the movie got ended. Would you like it? It will spoil your mood. Think of the time when you were watching your favorite movie and then there was this electricity cut off. You could not watch the last scene. How did you feel? Very bad, disappointed. That's how your essay would look like if you don't put the right conclusion. You ended abruptly, suddenly. Okay, so your essay is then hanging somewhere in the air. Okay, so give it the right ending. So right ending is required. Okay, does it have to be lengthy of like 6 to 7 lines? No, 3 lines, 2 lines would be enough. Okay, so let's just do a recap. Introduction, 3 to 4 lines. body having at least 2 to 3 paragraphs, and then the conclusion with just 2 or 3 lines. Then it will look like an essay, a perfect essay, which is having all the structure. Now, do you get marks for the structure and all? Yes, right? Now, I see students, they have written a beautiful essay, but it was not broken in paragraphs. Okay, it was just a plain piece of writing that a child had written from the first line to the last line. That's a very bad impression that you would be making. So you got to have good paragraph breaking, interesting, okay, quality and quantity as well. All right, don't compromise on that. If you follow it, yes, definitely you're going to score so good in your writing section as well. Not just in grammar, but writing section as well. So I would like to proceed forward. Okay, tips for scoring high. Very important. Yes, the first line talks about use adjectives, which you people are very good at, right? Adjectives, describing words, use them. Okay, imagery. You know what is an imagery? There are different types of imagery, but here we are talking about the visual imagery. Visual comes from the word vision. Once, something that you can see through the imagination. Okay, so suppose if you get to read about something, okay, for example, let me give you what is an imagery. Suppose you read something, the birds were chirping, the cool breeze was blowing, and the flowers were dancing. Now it creates an imagination, a picture in your mind, and not only you are just reading, but you get to imagine that. That is called imagery. Something that you read and you can visualize it in your imagination, that is called imagery. Okay, so use that. Okay, faculty of imagination, use that. Use adjectives and use imagery. Okay, write down something that will give your examiner some images to think about or ponder about. Write it in such a way. Okay, all right. So first done, be specific, not general. Yes, you got to be specific. Okay, no general opinion, no general description, specific. Okay, okay, if the flowers were there, how were the flowers looking, or how they smelt? Okay, how were they smelling? Okay, describe the scent of the flowers specifically. Okay, for that you can use adjectives. Okay, describe from general to specific, or left to right, or top to bottom, any clear order. Okay, this is I know this is difficult to understand. Let me put it straight. Clear order. You need to use an order when you are describing. Okay, you can begin from general to specific. You can start describing general things and then come to the specific description, right? You can follow this order. All right, an example: the garden behind my house looks like a small paradise, which means heaven, at dawn. Golden sunlight dances on the leaves. Now this is specific. Okay, and the sweet smell of wet flowers. We could have just hidden or not written wet. We could have just written the sweet smell of flowers, but being specific, we have written wet flowers. That is being specific. Okay, when you put each and every minute details in your essays, you don't skip out. Okay, so wet flowers fills the air. That's an example which has been given here. Okay, all right, so we are done with descriptive. I believe you people have written down the notes, and let me just check the comment section as well if you have any question. Okay, now somebody is asking me, sir, can the ending be negative? Can it be positive? Now, this question I will answer when I'm going to teach you argumentative essay. Okay, so this question fits there, not in descriptive, not in narrative. All right, so the second one that we have in store, narrative writing. Tell a story of something that happened. Wow, something that has happened. So you will ask me, sir, now what's the difference between descriptive and narrative? Okay, so descriptive also we are telling something, and narrative also we are telling something. There is a huge difference. I'll give you an example and you will understand. Okay, suppose there is a question, describe the train accident that has happened in your city. All right, so when you're standing at a position, at a point, and you see the train accident, or maybe you have not seen, you are just imagining, you are describing the details of it. Fire, smoke, people crying, people dying, the coaches of the train, right? All these things, dust. You are out of the scene. What will be a narrative? When you were there in the train and traveling from one place to the other, and you experienced the train accident, that will be a narrative. Okay, so you nearly escaped the accident. Okay, was admitted to the hospital, recovered. Now you are narrating it. Once upon a time, I was traveling from Dehradun to Chandigarh, and so things happened. Suddenly the brakes were applied. I could not understand, and yes, that way. Okay, so there's a huge difference between narrative and descriptive. Descriptive is you are then, in this case, out of scene. You are describing something, you're just looking at, analyzing. What will be a narrative? Something that happened and you were there in the scene. All right, okay, let's just see. Narrative writing is an experience written like a short story. You are narrating the story. Okay, each and every detail. Suppose you are traveling, you are supposed to write down a narrative, a narration on the first time you traveled from Delhi to Mumbai. Okay, so your narration will start right from your home, or maybe a night before while you were packing your stuff. How was the excitement? Did you get to sleep whole night or not? Or were you too excited to not sleep? Then you got up in the morning. You packed your bag. You were so excited. You had your breakfast. You were the first one to leave your house, waiting for your parents to come and accompany you, right? And you were so excited, like you are going to describe everything. You are going to write on everything. What all you felt when you were going or traveling from let's say Delhi to Mumbai, the first travel experience or the train experience. On the way home, what kind of people you have seen and you had a conversation with, good and bad, all kinds of experiences. Okay, so that is called a narrative. Okay, so all right, yes, there we are. Not story, it should be clear, engaging and structured. Okay, clear, I don't want to stress on engaging. It should be engaging. The reader should find interest, then only he or she would read. Engaging, you need to engage your reader. All right, and structured. Again, see, structured. Is there a structure? Yes, there are. Okay, all right, let's go back. Okay, have I missed anything? Okay, here. Okay, so characters, yes, you can introduce the characters as well. The setting, when and where, what happened, conflict, what went wrong, resolution, how was it solved. Use past tense unless told otherwise. So narratives must be written using simple past tense. or past perfect sometimes. That's the family member of the past. So you can use past perfect and simple past tense as well in writing your narrative essays. Now, characters, like you can introduce characters. Not necessarily that everyone has traveled from Delhi to Mumbai, but for that you will have to imagine again. You can put some characters like you can be there, your father is going to be there, your mother can be there, and a little one, sibling. Fine. Setting, from where did you start, where were you going? For example, plot, what all happened on the way. You can make it interesting. Okay, interesting but not unrealistic. Okay, it cannot be unrealistic. Don't say you were traveling from Delhi to Mumbai and then you met an alien on the way. Unrealistic. Okay, something that is realistic. Okay, conflict. Okay, what was the problem that you faced on the way? Any kind of problem. How did it get resolved? Okay, resolution, how was it solved, which I have already spoken about. So these are the key elements of the narrative essay. Okay, so let's see. Must follow structure. Introduction, you get to set the mood, introduce characters, mention the setting. Setting means the place. Okay, give a brief description about the place when you are writing a narrative essay. Characters, as I told you, mother, father, if you're traveling from one place to the other. Yes, you can, don't put many characters. There are 10 characters and then there is no story, no plot in it. Okay, so few characters and a good plot, good story. Okay, characters, mother, father, little one, sister can be there, grandparents can also accompany for that. Set the mood. All right, now how do you set the mood? I said right in the beginning, for the descriptive essay as well, I said it has to be really interesting. Your introduction, your starting of the narrative essay, again it has to be interesting. You cannot just begin with something irrelevant or a plain sentence. It cannot be like that. Okay, number 2, we have beginning. Start the story comfortably, build some curiosity. Then we have middle, main action, the problem or challenge, events leading up to the climax. Then climax, that means the ending part, most exciting moment. And then we have ending, give a clear finish, mention what you learned. So what you experience and what you get to learn when you had traveled from Delhi to Mumbai. I'm just giving you an example. It can vary from topic to topic. There can be some other topics as well, but since I'm talking about the traveling part, so yes, you can tell about this experience. What did you get to learn on the way when you travel for the very first time in an airplane from Delhi to Mumbai, right? So these are the things. Okay, all right. Okay, anything that you would like to ask me from here before I change the slide? Let me check the comments as well. All right, okay. Okay. Tips to impress the examiner, the one who's going to be checking. Avoid too many characters. That's what I was talking about. Don't put 10 characters and then your plot, the story, the narrative, the narration is weak. Don't make that weak. Okay, so keep very few characters, but the plot has to be really strong. Okay, keep a smooth flow using linkers. Wow, these words can be used. These are called linkers. For writing a narrative, you can use them. Suddenly, meanwhile, after a while. However, finally, dialogue can make it lively. All right. Many examples started. It was a foggy winter morning when I experienced something unforgettable. Argumentative writing. Okay. The first thing that I would like to clarify, no negative approach. It cannot be negative. Okay, you got to defend your case or present your case, but in a very respectful way. You need to set the boundary, and one should not cross those boundaries. It should not be offensive for the other people to read that. Okay, one needs to keep that in mind. A very thin line of respect that needs to be maintained. Argumentative. Before you start writing anything, you got to state your position. Okay, so this is very important. State your position. Okay, what does that mean? State your position. So suppose you read the question, this argumentative topic. First decide, are you going to speak against or are you going to speak for? And then state that. Suppose that's your sheet, this is the margin, to state against the motion. ठीक है, state पहले लिख दो आप against the motion. Okay, so before the reader can go through your argumentative essay, he or she should know ये बच्चा कौन सी साइड के बारे में बात कर रहा है. What is he talking about? Which side has he taken? Is it against the motion or for the motion? So against the motion. Now the examiner knows, okay, the child is going to talk against the motion. He's going to be writing in against the motion, right? Or else you can also, okay, or else you can write down for the motion, where you support the idea. For the motion. So state your position first. Okay, now why is it necessary to state the position? Some children, they start opposing the motion, but in between they get lost. They divert and then they start speaking for the motion. So they started with against the motion, but in between they will jump into for the motion. Then it becomes chaotic, right? You are confusing the examiner. Are you speaking for the motion or are you speaking against the motion? So it has to be very clear. So state your position, and then it will be acting as a reminder to you that you have to write down for the motion. So you will keep on writing for the motion. Okay, so let's just see. Give your opinion and prove it. Okay, in argumentative writing, you choose a side and support it using reasons, examples, and logic. Okay, you cannot just write down the argumentative essay without reasons. There has to be some solid reasons. Okay, you cannot be just passionate about it, that what you are speaking is correct, but you don't have any proof to prove it. So your reasoning has to have some proofs. Okay, so reasons, give some examples from the surroundings, the world around you. It can be globally, it can be anyway, it can be a personal experience as well. So give an example to prove your point, and it has to be logically. Logically. Okay, so whatever reasoning that you are going to give for your argumentative essay, it has to have a logic, examples, and reasons. Okay. Purpose. So what is your purpose? Okay, why are you fighting your case? The purpose is to convince the reader that your viewpoint is strong. So you are convincing the reader. The reader is neutral. He will believe if your case is strong. Okay, so you have to make the other person believe here. Okay. Next. Okay, now this is important. How do you have to write down your argumentative essay? This is the structure that you need to follow. There are so many things. All right, let's pay attention. Again, we start with the introduction. Clearly state your opinion, which I told you. State your position. Introduce the topic. How can you introduce? You can introduce the topic using a quotation or a phrase. It can be a proverb, it can be an idiom, it can be a rhetorical question. Yes, you can use that. Then you come to the second part, that is, you are going to present the first argument. The first argument related to your argumentative essay. Plus, it needs to have an example. Example, I told you, it can be your personal experience, it can be globally, it can be anything, right? But it has to be a logical example, right? Strong point, example, strong point, realistic example, no imaginary example. It has to have some truth in it, real examples, fine? Okay, suppose if I give you a question that boys are better than girls. You can agree with it or you may disagree with it. If you disagree with it, how will you prove it? You need to have some very good realistic examples, some good strong points to defend your case. Okay, you should not sound angry when you are writing. Okay, now I know that's a very offensive topic to write down on. Girls are better than boys or boys are better than girls, right? It becomes really, fiery when such topics come up. Children, they lose their patience and they start yelling, right? But how can you prove? Okay, so it's not just about the talking. What you can write down, what good points can you come up with in order to prove? Okay, third, again, second argument is going to come. Second argument, argument 1, again example and another convincing point. So how many examples? 2 examples, 2 arguments and 2 points. Okay, fourth is counterpoint. This acts like a hammer. Okay, the last blow that you are going to give in your essay, this is going to be the final blow which you are going to be giving. Can be against the topic, can be for the topic, the last blow, and very important. Okay, all right, optional but impressive. Some people believe this is how you can start. Some people believe, or however, this is how you can do it, the counterpoint. Okay, so 2 good arguments backed by examples, convincing points, and then we have counterpoints, and then comes the conclusion, final strong statement. Now this can be repeated. Okay, repeated from here. Okay, what you have written in the introduction can be repeated in the final strong statement, right? That's the benefit here, that can be repeated. Okay, so any questions? Let me check. Okay, so argumentative essay is actually a debate. Yes, that's the correct point that you were asking me. That's right. Okay. Now somebody has asked me in the chat section, sir, can it be from both the sides? Can it be uh, okay. Okay. Now I would say don't keep it diplomatic, right? You're speaking for the boys and you are not speaking against the girls. It cannot be like that. This is called safe play. Don't play it safe. Okay? Don't normalize it or don't balance it out. Okay? Don't try to put your feet in two boats. Okay? So you got to either speak for the motion or against the motion. So decide that. It cannot, you should not, okay, this is funny. You should not sound like a politician. Okay? All right? Diplomatic answers. Okay? I am with you and I am with you as well. You should not be like that. You either speak for the topic or against the topic. It cannot be balanced out. Okay, so strong statement I was talking about, that means you can repeat the introduction part once again over here, and that gives you the final thing to write down in your argumentative essay, right? So there are plenty of argumentative essays. For example, if I talk about should students be given homework? Now it is an argumentative topic. Some children would say no, it should not be given. Some would say yes, it should be given, right? For example, e-books are better than the other books. That's also an argumentative essay, a topic. Some of you would say yes, e-books are pretty far much better than the other books, right? So what else? There are many, like, okay, tips to excel. Tone must be formal. Yes. Wow, this is really good. Formal. You must sound in your writing formal, not informally. What will be informally? When you have started writing and you have used emotional language. That will be informal. That simply shows that a person did not have the right valid points and now has come down and started using, okay, I have, wait, yes. So that simply means that you have come down to the level and you have started using emotional language. No more valid points are there, no proofs are there, nothing to left, nothing to be written down, okay, nothing to describe, nothing to written down. So the child has started using emotional language. So keep it formal, okay, don't lose your case. This is what it means. Okay, use phrases like it is evident. Evident means proved. It is proved that. Okay, this can also be written, one cannot deny. So you are very sure, you are grounded and you are taking your position and you are saying one cannot deny. Third, that you can use, therefore I strongly believe. All these points can be, all these sentences can be written down. These are formal openings, I would say. You can begin your sentences with these set of phrases. Okay, mini example statement. Physical exercise must be part of every school day because it improves health and helps students stay focused. Right? Now, this would have been an argumentative topic. Physical exercise is important for school students. Some would say it is not, because they are too focused, they have become bookworms, and I should not sound judgmental here, but some children are bookworms, they keep just reading and no physical activity. Some would say Yes, there should be some physical activity. So that's on you. Which side do you choose? And whatever side that you choose, you should stand on it. Use formal language. Follow the structure. Give two arguments followed by examples, right? And the counterpoint as well. Okay. Okay. Story writing. Wow. Now children, they love this. Okay. When they get to write a story, they are very good at writing stories. Now that reminds me of students who are very good at making stories in their class as well, right? Okay, that's why children, they like story writing the most. What do? Suppose some children, they get absent and the next day they come, the teachers, they ask, where were you? So now they're going to make up a story. So that's why children, they like story writing. They're very good at making stories. Okay, jokes apart, let's come back. Story writing: create a short, meaningful tale with a moral. Okay. Can there be stories without a moral? Yes, there can be stories. Okay. One of the most powerful story write-ups that you can afford to have is a cliffhanger. Okay, let me write down. It's cliffhanger. Okay, what is a cliffhanger? Cliffhanger means where you leave the audience, leave the reader in a state of suspense. Okay, we all have watched horror movies. How do they end? Okay, how do they end? Let me remind you something. For example, the last scene of the horror movie, the lights went off and then you got to hear a scream, and that's how the movie ended. Okay, now it left you in a suspense. You do not know actually what had happened, who screamed, why did the light went off. Now you do not know, right? That is called a cliffhanger. Are you here with me? Okay, another story, let's say a suspense thriller. Okay, the murderer was caught by the police. It was a happy ending. The family went back to the village, but then suddenly you get to see someone in the last scene approaching in the movie. Somebody is walking. You just get to see the shoes. All right, and then there is a dialogue, right? So and so person has appeared, but you do not know who's the person, and the movie ends. What is that? That is called a cliffhanger. It leaves you in a state of suspense. So can you write down a cliffhanger? Yes, you can. It leaves a lasting impression on the reader, a beautiful and lovely impression on the reader. In your case, examiner. So yes, you can write down, you can think of a very beautiful and lovely story and you can leave it as a cliffhanger. Okay, leave the audience, leave your examiner shocked, in a state of suspense. Let's come back. So yes, you can definitely write down a short story with a moral and also a cliffhanger. Okay, story writing requires imagination but also clarity and structure. So you are going to be the director of this story. How good you write, that depends on you. I can give you some tips. So let's see. Title is required. You need to entitle your story. Give it a beautiful title. Not just any title. It should be relevant to your story. Okay, or opposite to your story. Okay, all right, let's see. Characters, yes, we can have characters. Setting means the place, can be a village. The story starts in a house, story starts in a forest, prison, whatever. Problem, what was the problem? Solution, moral if possible. Okay, it can be a suspense thriller where you get to introduce only 3 characters: a woman, a police inspector, and a masked man. Right? Can be a thriller as well. So that depends on you what kind of story you want to develop. Okay? All right. Title, make it catchy. Catchy means something that catches the attention of the reader. Make it catchy. Okay, like, what is catchy heading? Catchy heading means something that catches the attention of the reader. Okay, you must have been to malls and all. You get to see all these tags over there, no? Buy one get one free. Yeah, what is that? A catchy heading, something that attracts the customers, right? Okay, something like that. Okay, I'm not saying that you should write down that, but I wanted to just tell you what is a catchy heading. So you can think of a very catchy, a very good catchy heading of your story. Make it catchy. Attention, it should catch the attention of the reader. Beginning, set the scene, where, when, who. Middle, build the plot, that means the story. Create tension or conflict. Climax, the exciting or turning point. Resolution, end the story neatly. Or in case of a cliffhanger, leave the audience shocked. Moral, short and clear. In a cliffhanger, you would not require a moral to be written, right? So that's how you can write your story. And a story can have dialogues as well. Can it have? Yes, it can have dialogues as well. When we have the characters, the dialogues can also be there. How do you write down dialogues? You must have learned direct speech, where we get to put a comma and then double inverted commas, and then we put a full stop and the double inverted commas get close. That's the way of writing any dialogue of a person. That's how we write down. Okay, so we are running out of time. Let's see. Okay, don't make the story too long. Stick to 120 to 150 words, whatever the word limit that has been given, stick to that. Okay, all right. Focus on one main incident. Past tense is best. That's an example, right? Picture composition. Okay, observe, think and write. As I told you right in the beginning, you don't have to describe the picture. So if you get to see Indira Gandhi, okay, don't start describing. I see a woman, she has draped herself in a sari and she has gray hair, she has an unsmiling face. No, don't describe. Okay, you need to talk about the contributions done by this woman in the country. Okay, so talk about the contributions and all. So whatever picture that you get to see, suppose you get to see, let me talk about it. Okay, suppose you get to see children, they are running in the garden. So what do you assume by this? What do you describe the picture? There are 4 children, they are running, they are wearing orange pants and then wearing blue caps. No. What do you have to say? It talks about the childhood. It is talking about the childhood. You need to write on the childhood. Okay, this is how the childhood looks like. Running in the garden, carefree, all right, enjoying, no tension, no worries, right? So you can bring a comparison as well. What is the present life looks like? Is it built, is it tension free, or does it have lots of tensions, right? So you can just bring the comparison as well. That's what I'm talking about, picture composition. Okay, observe every detail. Yes, interpret the picture. Wow, this is the right word, I would say. Interpret, understand. Okay, you have to translate the picture. What is the picture talking to me? You should be able to understand the message behind the picture. So it can be a descriptive passage or a story based on the picture. When you get to see the picture, there are 2 ways you can attempt. You can either write down descriptive passage or a story based on the picture, right? That's what you can do that. Okay, again, it's the repetition. How do we begin an essay? Introduction, detailed description, consider people present, their expression, activities, surroundings, colors, mood or atmosphere, what may have happened before, what may happen next. All these things can be jotted down, and this is the repetitive structure what we have been learning. right? So you just need to get three things in mind. First, introduction has to be there, body of the essay, and the conclusion. These three things will follow in every kind of essay. Okay, three things. Remember the human body: head, abdominal area, and then the legs, the feet. All right. Okay, conclusion. Okay, conclusion. Final comment. Yes, that's what I was talking about. The last and but not the least, the conclusion that I was talking about, right? So the three things that needs to be followed. Okay. Final exam tips for RMC writing section. Keep handwriting neat, divide into paragraphs, stick to the word limit, use simple but powerful vocabulary, avoid spelling and grammar mistakes, always review your answer. So handwriting has to be neat and clean. Come on. Yes. This is where children, they fumble the most. Handwriting has to be clean. Okay. It has to be really good and clean. Legible handwriting. Okay. Something that can be clear, that is clear enough to read. Okay. Divide into paragraphs, as I told you. It should be neatly divided into paragraphs. Stick to the word limit. Yes. Now, am I asking you to count each and every word? No. So suppose if the question has to be attempted in 150 to 200 words, I am not asking you to count 200 words. 1, 2, 3. No. You know what you have to do? Just count the words that are there in the first line. For example, there are 5 words coming in the first line. Okay, then approximately take an approximate idea of how many lines should I write down. If 5 words are coming in the first line and I have to write down in 200 words, how many lines would I consume? So 5 into 40, 200. Somewhere around 40 to 45 lines I have to write down. That's an easy way to track down. Okay. Can we exceed the limit? To an extent. Don't make it 200, 300, 210. Okay. Can be managed. Use simple but powerful vocabulary. That's what we have talked about previously. Avoid spelling and grammar mistakes. Yes, grammar mistakes. Okay, spelling mistakes. Okay, spellings. You need to be very thorough with the spellings. And grammar mistakes, which means essays to be written in past tense. Okay, usually in simple past tense, and you can use past perfect tense as well. Grammar mistakes, that means when it comes to punctuation marks, you know, suppose you're writing dialogues, it has to be written in direct speech, comma, double inverted commas, and then you have written the dialogue, and then you have to close the inverted commas. Put the right punctuation marks. Always review, that means revise what you have written. Read like a reader. Okay, analyze it, what you have written. Are you satisfied by it or not? Review your answer. Okay, now I would like to show you, I would say. Okay, so that's a human error. So okay, now that's fine. Write an essay on the topic cowards die many times before their death. Now this is from June 2017, a question that was of 10 marks, and this is a reflective essay which I talked about previously. Reflective, a thoughtful essay. Okay, reflective essay. Cowards die many times before their death. Now this is a very famous line, and it is taken from William Shakespeare's play Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar, you know, when he was in his house and the next day he was about to get murdered. Okay, people had built up a conspiracy against him, so he was about to be executed the next day. So a night before, his wife comes to him and tells him, Caesar, tomorrow morning you should not go out. All right, so she was so sure that Caesar will be murdered the next day. Okay, so she tells that I have seen some very horrible dreams, and in those dreams I had seen you, Caesar, that you had died, and I'm requesting you not to step out of the house. Then Caesar spoke this line. What did he say? Cowards die many times before their death. And then unfortunately he stepped out and then he got murdered. But this is a very famous line from William Shakespeare's play Julius Caesar, and Julius Caesar, the character, he had spoken this line. Okay, so what does it mean? Let's see. So I have come up with this answer. Let's read. 150 to 180 words. Let's read. So descriptive, a thoughtful essay. The famous saying, cowards die many a time before their death, means that people who are afraid keep suffering again and again. They imagine danger everywhere and lose courage even before facing a situation. Their fear becomes so strong that they stop living a happy and confident life. On the other hand, brave people live fully. They face challenges with a positive mind. They may feel afraid, but they do not allow fear to control them. They try, learn, and grow stronger with every experience. Courage does not mean having no fear. It means acting in spite of fear, and so on. You know what is lacking in this essay? Right? The paragraphs. And on purpose, it has been written like this so that I can point it out and tell you that it needs to be written down in paragraphs. So it is so beautifully written, right? What's lacking? It needs to be broken down in paragraphs. Okay, so let's continue. In daily life, we see students who avoid speaking on stage, trying new things because they imagine failure. This imaginary fear makes them unhappy, but when someone gathers courage and participates, they feel proud and learn something new. History also shows that brave leaders and soldiers live with honor because they stand firm in difficult times. In simple words, cowards keep suffering in their minds, while the brave truly live their lives. Therefore, we should face challenges boldly and never let fear defeat us. All right, so that brings me to the end of the lesson today. I believe that you have learned something or the other today. And with this, I would like to rest my case. If you have any questions, you may ask, right? Last 2 minutes and then we'll wind up. Okay, thank you everyone. Good to have you here. I'll see you in the next lesson. Thank you.